But we begin, of course, in London, where a counter-terrorism investigation is underway after an afternoon terror attack left 5 people dead, including the man responsible, and at least 40 people injured. The unnamed terrorist, about whom nothing is yet known, was he a lone wolf? Was he formally connected to a terror group? Drove over Westminster Bridge just before 3 o'clock in the afternoon, zigging and zagging, hitting pedestrians as he went, before crashing his car and using a knife to fatally stab a police officer in the grounds of Parliament. As Bridget Burke reports, Britain's worst terror attack in more than a decade also brought London to a standstill.
A tourist's cell phone captures people fleeing as gunshots were heard outside the British Houses of Parliament. What police are now describing as a marauding terrorist attack began when a car was driven over Westminster Bridge, hitting and injuring at least 40 pedestrians and 3 police officers. Metropolitan Police boss Mark Rowley said after the car crashed, its driver, armed with a knife, stabbed a police officer to death before he himself was shot dead.
We now, of course, have an ongoing operation, and whilst we currently believe there was only one attacker, I'm sure the public will understand us taking every precaution in locking down and searching the area as thoroughly and exhaustively as possible.
Eyewitness Rob Lyon recalls the horror unfolding.
I just passed a group of, there was I think sort of Chinese tourists doing sort of selfies with Big Ben, and just talking about what we had planned for the next 2 days in London, and then I heard a big sort of crunch, it sounded like a car crash, but then almost that crunch of a wheel on a curb. Then I saw the vehicle mount the curb, and it was coming out so quickly. I saw some people be hit in front of me. James, who I was with, he sort of shouted, "Get out of the way," I think, it happened so quickly. Then I jumped to the left into the road. I think one of the guys that had been hit, unfortunately, came past me. And then looked around me in shock because I could, see bodies and people, and it was all, a real shock.
Ismail Hassan described seeing a grey 4-wheel drive parked up behind a van before starting up and accelerating, zigzagging along.
So how many people do you think he hit? Or did you see him hit?
What I have seen it on my own eyes, between 6 and 7 people laying down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And were they on the pavement when he was zigzagging into them?
They were just walking as normal, and the first hit, even the second people and the third time he was doing, no one realised it. So as he's done it in and out, zigzag.
Yeah.
And it was a quick and less than 10 seconds between.
Yeah. And then what happened to the car? Did he just carry on then over Westminster Bridge?
The car continued to drive all the way down, but on the bottom of the bridge there is a 2-lane, so there is a bus on the left-hand side.
Yeah.
So it just continued between the bus and the pavement, and there was over 100 people on the pavement. Just like we're standing here now, the car drive to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then anything can happen. I don't know if people landed on the river. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the traffic was even slow moving. I don't know if the cars and hit other people while they're running away from this car. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
So the only thing I can do is just stop in the middle of the bridge and try to stop the vehicle coming, and then try to assist them and call the police and ambulance.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can do.
British Prime Minister Theresa May praised the bravery of police and condemned the attack as sick and depraved.
Our thoughts and prayers go out to all who have been affected, to the victims themselves and their family and friends who waved their loved ones off but will not now be welcoming them home.
London's Mayor Sadiq Khan warned that London would not tolerate terrorists.
It's worth reminding ourselves there's a very good reason why the terrorists want to attack our way of life and destroy our way of life. They can't stand the fact that here in Westminster, here in London, we have a thriving democracy. We enjoy civil liberties and human rights. Christian, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, those who are members of an organised faith and those who aren't, live together, not just peacefully, respectfully, celebrating each other, embracing each other. We're not going to allow them to divide us.
As more than 1,000 people were evacuated from the various locations around Westminster, London went into lockdown. Traffic was gridlocked and cafes and tourist attractions around Westminster were closed, leaving tourists trapped at the top of the London Eye for more than 3 hours. On the ground, commuters said the attack was not surprising.
It was bound to happen sooner or later. You can't stop everyone. I think we've been lucky so far that we haven't suffered anything worse. And I suppose you should be thankful this one wasn't worse as well.
It kind of makes me feel really bad because London's such a multicultural city and I thought we'd all live in, harmony, but I guess not.
I don't know what to say really. I just think it's awful. People aren't safe.
when's it going to happen again?
We were at the aquarium when it happened, and we were on lockdown for like 2.5 or 3 hours, maybe 2.5 hours. They held us there, and they just let us out. So I'm just kind of getting everything piecemeal from what happened, and we're visiting from the States, so I don't even have time to check my phone because I keep getting all these notifications, so I don't even really know what happened.
Officials named the dead policeman as 48-year-old Keith Palmer, a father and well-respected member of the Diplomatic Protection Service. Investigations into whether Britain's most deadly attack in a decade was the act of a lone terrorist are continuing. For Checkpoint, Bridget Burke.